This week I wrote about uncertainty because one of the things that happened when I left my corporate job was that I had to shift what I put importance on, because I was always somebody who needed a lot of certainty in her life. And trust me when I tell you, there is nothing that's going to send you into that has a potential to send you into a tailspin as much as taking away all of the certainty that you have, right? So I just wanted to take a little bit of time to take you through 3 steps to really help to manage that uncertainty. So the first step to managing uncertainty is really identifying what is it that's making you feel uncertain, because until you manage it, or not, until you identify it, you can't address it, you can't manage it. So that's step number 1. So how do you do that? Once you've identified what it is that's making you feel uncertain, then you can start making a plan, right? You can start to figure out, okay, if this is what's going on and this is what I'm uncertain about, what can I do to resolve that underlying feeling of uncertainty so that you can keep yourself moving forward. The other thing under that is looking at the bigger picture. Instead of focusing on the nitty gritty of, this is what's bugging me right now, it's, look at the bigger picture. What is your long-term plan? What do you want to do? How do you show up as your best self so that you can start taking action and not feel like you're a victim, or like this is something that you can't handle. Then I think that you also need to relinquish control, or the belief that you have control over everything, because we don't. We control certain things like our attitude, our response, how we approach things, but the stuff that life throws at us, that we can't control. So the more and the quicker we can get into a point of view of, okay, if I can control how I respond to this, that's the battle that you want to take on, not addressing the things that you can't control. You also have to acknowledge your feelings, right? You can't it makes no sense to bury them. It makes no sense to hide from them, because then that just kind of keeps the yuck there. So acknowledge, you know what, I'm not feeling cool about this. So that once you acknowledge that, you can get beyond it. And if there's anything that is not serving you in this new approach that you might have to take, in this new decision you might have to make, let it go. You're not tied to anything. You can dictate what your life looks like. You can decide what you hold on to and what you let go. And if you're holding on to stuff that's not serving you, then, for lack of a better way to say it, you're basically doing yourself a disservice. So really just let it go. So step number 1 is identifying why you're getting those feelings of uncertainty. Step number 2 is all about mindset. So upgrading your mindset and your attitude. So there are a few things there that you can do to do that. First, you can learn to embrace the unknown. Learn to look at those moments as opportunities for excitement, opportunities for new things, opportunities for growth, instead of feeling like, oh my God, woe is me, and what am I going to do? No, it's just, it's something new. Yes, it could be destabilizing, but it is something that can bring you great joy, potentially. It's something that can open new doors, something that can get you to stretch and to grow. And those are all exciting things that you can get behind. You can also focus on the positive instead of having an attitude of, I just talked about, victim attitude. Take an empowering attitude. Focus on the good things that can come out of it. And focusing on the positive, or looking at a negative situation as a positive instead of looking at it as a negative, that's also part of having that growth mindset, right? Because when you're in a growth mindset, you look for those opportunities and you see those opportunities hidden beneath the muck, right? Beneath those feelings of, this is not comfortable. Whereas in a fixed mindset, all you can focus on is what the problem is, and having potentially those that fear of helplessness, and that fear of, can I succeed if I take on this challenge? Because success is a marker of, how intelligent you are, whereas in a growth mindset, you know failure is embraced as a way to learn. So it's a very, very big distinction. I also recommend practicing self-compassion. It's about showing the same compassion to yourself that you would a friend who's going through a similar situation. So you don't have to berate yourself. You don't have to, call yourself names. I used to do that. Thank goodness I don't do that anymore. Or at least I don't do that as often. But it's a process, right? We learn, we go, and we continue to grow. And another thing you can do is look for the good in the moments. It doesn't mean that you need to ignore the bad things that are happening, but turn your eye towards the good things, because it'll make the bad things feel less important. It takes away their power, right? So look for that good, and then double down on the stuff that brings you joy and that helps you relax. When we're in the middle of challenges, when we're facing those uncertainties, sometimes it's good to take a step back and just focus on something else. And what I found is that when I'm able to do that, often spontaneously, like, you get downloads, you get information, you get new ideas, because you're not so focused on trying to fix whatever the problem is. You're not so focused on the bubbling of that uncertainty. Being able to take a step back allows you to free your mind so it can work on solutions, so you instinctively come up with the right solutions instead of trying to think your way through the right solutions. And then just take it one day at a time. You don't have to solve everything. You just have to put one foot in front of another. Wrap up one day, continue to tackle it the next day. I always joke with Justin, my boyfriend, because I often use the expression, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you tackle uncertainty? One step at a time, one day at a time. So, don't feel like you have to do everything all at once, and don't take on too much. And then the third step is really to seek help when and if you need it. We don't have to do this stuff by yourself. So you can do one of three things. You can talk to someone you trust, whether that's a family member or a friend. You can talk to someone who's been through it before. Maybe somebody is in a situation similar to yours, and it might be helpful to pick their brain and understand how they dealt with the situation. And if that's not working, never ever be afraid to talk to someone, to a professional. Talk to a therapist. Have them work through those opportunities, or work through the challenge, work through the uncertainty with you, because being able to talk to someone who can give you that outside point of view takes the emotion out of it and takes the anxiety out of it. And nobody can do that better than a therapist, sometimes a coach. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you find it helpful. Be good, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon.